Hi, I'm Andy and welcome to my channel about crypto. In today's video I just want to have a quick look at the current market situation and a few projects which I think are particularly interesting at the moment, and also where the market is heading not only in the next few days but more importantly in the next weeks and months. So as usual, let's have a look at Bitcoin's chart first. So over the last couple of weeks Bitcoin's been on this continued downtrend, and although the last couple of days look quite promising, well, we've seen similar patterns before, around here and here. This is quite a nice, quick recovery after this massive drop here a couple of days ago. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we won't have another slight dip. What I think is quite bullish though is that we never really dipped all the way down to our bull market support band, the 20-week SMA, let alone below it. And I hope that these bottoms here are as low as we will go, and from now on we will continue going up. Depending on which exchange you will look at, some of those weeks were actually much closer to the 20-week SMA. And in some cases, I think we're only about 1% away from it. So this could be seen as a retest of the bull market support band. And whenever that happens, whenever we test it and hold the line, Bitcoin tends to go up quite rapidly. We've certainly seen it here when we clearly tested the line over a course of a week or so. And then we had this amazing parabolic move up. I'm not necessarily expecting exactly the same thing happening. To be honest, after the last couple of weeks, my prediction for the rest of this year is that it's going to be, well, I wouldn't say bearish, but I think Bitcoin's move to the upside will be quite slow. I'm still hoping we'll see maybe 80 or even 90k Bitcoin by the end of the year. But at the same time, I wouldn't be particularly surprised if we will just bounce back to the previous all-time high level and stay somewhere around that. In other words, I think it will be quite a slow move, and if anything, it will be the next year when we will see a proper pronounced move up. And it's actually something I mentioned in one of the last couple of videos, that it's likely that until we get to 100k, it's going to be quite slow, and then from 100k we can expect quite nice parabolic move up. Whether that will be 120, 150 to 100k, we shall see. But I think that move up will be much quicker than the grind up to 100k. And also I think this confirms that we're going to see much longer cycle than many people anticipated. A lot of people were talking about 100k or 200k by Christmas. Well, that's quite obviously not happening. I think the chance of 100k Bitcoin by the end of the year is close to none. If we put it on the chart, we'll see how unlikely it is to happen. Essentially what we would need is, so it's 31st of December. And then if we grab so if we now zoom out, I mean, that's the kind of movement we would have to see over the next 4 or 5 weeks in order to get to 100k. I think that's extremely unlikely. Like I said, something in the 80 something k range, that's possible, by no means guaranteed, but possible. But anything above that, I think it's a bit too optimistic. But I wouldn't necessarily consider this as bad news, because although it may take us a little bit longer, well, I don't think there's any doubt that we will hit 100k and above. And if anything, the longer those reaccumulation phases are, I think the higher we will go eventually, because there's smaller likelihood of a sudden blow off top, and essentially we're building up to it over a much longer period of time. So I think the market cycle peak in spring is still possible, but as I mentioned before, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens during the summer or even later in the year. So we still have plenty of time to go. So for Bitcoin, I'm hoping that we won't go below these levels of around 52, 53,000. I'm hoping that we are now actually on the move up. But of course, this isn't still quite clear from this pattern whether this is a bottom or whether we will continue a little bit longer going sideways at this level. When it comes to cryptocurrency market overall, well, we are still around $2.7 trillion. Bitcoin's dominance is still around 40%, just under at the moment. And still the pattern continues that I mentioned in the last couple of videos. Even if the market is red overall, and even if a lot of cryptocurrencies are dipping, if we look at gaming coins, it's largely in the green. And in fact, when we see a lot of those dips, a lot of gaming coins are actually going up, or at least holding their position. So it's just showing it more and more clearly that gaming cryptos are somewhat decoupled from the rest of the cryptocurrency market, which is a great thing. And although I wouldn't necessarily trust this figure, it says here that the crypto gaming market is currently, well, just shy of $40 billion. I think the actual figure is probably a bit larger, but well, $40 billion, if you look at cryptos overall, that's the value of, well, roughly Ripple or Polkadot. So a single coin quite far down the top 10 list. And if you think how much potential crypto gaming has overall, it's quite clear that this number can go up absolutely massively, way beyond what many other coins will do during this market cycle. So at the moment, I'm holding my Bitcoin position, I'm holding my ADA position, even though it is a bit of a joke at the moment for many YouTubers, but it's my long-term hold and this is my safe investment. In terms of everything else, I'm still holding a lot of coins, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, but if I'm adding anything to my bags right now, it's purely in the crypto gaming, metaverse and NFT space. Basically, these are the projects that, in my opinion, are the equivalent of DeFi projects last year. But I think they will actually go up much more than DeFi did. So I'm seeing this as a brilliant opportunity those next few days, weeks, potentially for a couple of months when Bitcoin is not really doing anything particularly exciting. And by that I mean it's not putting new all-time highs, and by quite some margin. I think those are brilliant. This is a brilliant opportunity to essentially load your bags with some of those much smaller projects with huge potential for growth. So a couple of coins that I added to my portfolio recently are RMRK and Verasity. To be honest, I've been delaying it way too long. I've been looking at them for a while, but finally I got them. I think both projects are absolutely amazing. Both have reasonably small market cap, around 300 billion and around 300 million and around 270. So they are still, well, they're not tiny projects, they are certainly not micro cap coins, but at the same time they have plenty of potential for growth. I can see them easily being multi-billion-dollar projects. So even if they reach just 1 billion, that's already easy 3 to 4x for each of them. And then of course that's likely to go actually much higher than that. Some other projects which I think are worth looking into, although I currently don't have position in them, are UFO gaming. This one is much bigger, but I think it's a solid project in this space, no pun intended. And Ultra, which, well, slightly lower market cap, but over $500 million. Again, another solid project. I don't particularly want to get into details of all of those projects. I think if you are interested in them, you should do the research yourself, check out their website, check out their Medium or Discord or Telegram channels. see what they do and how this aligns with what you are interested in and your thoughts in terms of what's likely to go up. There are so many projects out there to choose from. So yeah, I think everyone should essentially decide for themselves what they want to invest in. But for me right now, RMRK and Verasity are quite obvious choices. Outside of that, well, I think huge thing and a lot of projects I'm currently investing in are various IGOs, various new games that are coming out. I mentioned before that I take part in CDFI's IGOs. I made quite a few videos about this. And yes, I do appreciate that CDFI is really expensive at the moment. When we started talking about this on this channel, it was around $3. Now it's around 16. So of course, to have a guaranteed allocation to participate in their IGOs is at the moment, it takes at least $16,000 for tier 2 and much more if you want to be in higher tiers. I don't want to give any financial advice, but I think it's still probably pretty good buy if you have those funds and if you're willing to risk them, because CDFI as a token itself has been performing really, really well over the last few months. And as a launchpad, it's doing really well. They're launching a lot of projects. I think they had like four or five projects in October, I think 5 or 6 in November. If you look at their upcoming IGOs, they have another 11 lined up for December. So they're extremely active, and also ROI on a lot of those projects is really, really good. Of course, not all of them bring huge amounts of money, but you are always, in my case, I'm always in profit. I take part in every single IGO, and I'm always in profit, and some of those are performing extremely well. So as crypto gaming is going to get bigger and bigger, I expect launchpads to also perform better. So I think the value of S-Fund token will continue going up. But even if you cannot invest in the launchpad, I think it's still worth checking out which coins or which projects are launching on CDFI. And you can see when particular projects are launching. For example, we have Age of Tanks, which has IGO today. And then the coin will be released tomorrow on the exchange. You can see when exactly next few IGOs are happening. If you see particular IGO listed twice, it means that the first one is just a private sale for, I think, tier 6 and above, so basically the biggest investors. So then you can expect the token to actually hit the exchange a day after the second IGO takes place, because this is the one for all the investors in the launchpad. And then basically you can see the day after when the token launches what's happening, essentially what's the price. You can join CDFI's Telegram channel. You can then see exactly on which exchange it will be listed, what's the token contract. And yeah, you can then decide whether you want to invest in it straight away or not. A lot of the tokens may have a bit of a spike as soon as they hit an exchange, but then usually they dip quite a bit and then they start building up. So if we look at a couple of particularly successful projects in the last few weeks, we had Blocktopia, which, as you can see, it was listed on 8th of October. So that's not even a month and a half ago. And since then, it just went up massively in value. At some point, it got close to 18 cents, but a lot of the time it's been trading somewhere between, sort of 10 to 12 cents. So plenty of great opportunities to sell if you invested early, but also pretty good opportunities to buy somewhere here, for example, around 6 cents. And if you got into it somewhere here around 6-7 cents. And this is just one example, and of course it's still very early days. I mean, it's been only 6 weeks, so this is still likely to go absolutely parabolic in the future. CryoWar is another similar example, listed much more recently. I think it actually started at $5 but dipped pretty much straight away. There was a bit of an issue with the release of tokens to investors who participate in the IGO, and the price actually dipped at some point to just over $1. And well, it's been bouncing around $3 to $4.50 over the last few days. So again, amazing gains, even if you didn't participate in the IGO, even if you bought somewhere here or somewhere here, you could still easily make 2x, 3x gains. And again, this is just very, very early stages. If we look at something like D-Race, and we can then see how this coin performed over a longer period of time. Well, at the moment it's trading above $7. I think it reached just over 8. Then if we look at its chart over time, well, that's a similar pattern here at the beginning to what we are seeing with CryoWar and Blocktopia right now. I'm not, of course, saying that it will necessarily repeat it exactly the same pattern, but this is how a lot gaming projects perform. They may have some initial pump because of the hype. If they're particularly popular, they may actually stay very low for quite a while because there is no product. But then as the utility comes to it, and as it actually becomes more of an actual product with a use case, well, the price starts going up. So yeah, all those gaming projects I'm really excited about. Of course, not all of them will be successful, but I think quite a few of them will, especially that there is a huge amount of hype around it at the moment. Crypto gaming is really, really popular. Everyone is talking about it, as in everyone in the crypto space, and everyone expects it to do really well. So people will naturally invest in projects, even if they're not particularly great projects, which, although it's not ideal, generally speaking, well, it sort of helps to mitigate your risk a little bit, especially if you just want to get in and cash out relatively quickly, or at least de-risk your position. You have to be very careful because a lot of those projects are very low cap, and of course a lot of them may fail, or at least they may not perform particularly great in the longer time frame. But in the shorter time frame, well, I think they're really good investments, and then you just have to be quite careful what you are keeping as your longer term hold and what you just want to get rid of and move that money somewhere else. So last couple of things I wanted to mention is that NFT market picked up a little bit in the last few days, or the last couple of weeks in fact, but it's still nothing crazy comparing to what was happening in October or earlier in the year. So I think this, well, essentially ETH remains quite expensive. Gas fees generally are still quite high, not all the time, but a lot of the time. So I think we may still need to wait a bit for a proper NFT bull market, but certainly things are picking up there, and there are a lot of new projects coming out. I'll be making a series of NFT related videos over the next few days, but that's a separate thing. And then finally, just a quick look at Crypto Fear and Greed Index. So we are in the fear category. I think we were in extreme fear a couple of days ago. And if we look at it over the last few days or a couple of months, well, we certainly dropped quite a bit from where we were earlier in the year. I think that was the Bitcoin's all-time high, or certainly something around that mark. And all this basically means is it's a great time to buy, because generally when people are fearful, the prices are dipping, and of course this creates great buying opportunities for many coins. I definitely don't think that the bull market is over. I think it's nowhere near that. If anything, we are just re-entering potentially another short or maybe slightly longer reaccumulation phase. So any projects which you were thinking about investing in earlier in the year and you didn't for whatever reason, I think now may be a good time to do it. Of course, gaming is not quite following the same pattern, which is a little bit frustrating because ideally probably a lot of people would like to invest in many various gaming projects, but they are still holding really well. But this doesn't make them any less of a good purchase, if that makes sense. If you're really bullish about the project, I think you should still invest in it. So I think that's it from me for today. I think overall we are still in a good position. I think the market cycle is going to be much longer than what a lot of people were thinking, especially a couple of months ago. And personally, I think it's a great thing. The longer it takes, the higher we go. I think overall it's a healthy thing for a market and for crypto overall. And yeah, I remain really, really bullish. And just to sum it up, my focus at the moment is investing in various gaming related cryptos, because I think these will perform the best over the next few weeks and months. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.